Victory! Victory! Victory!
I stay loose, I stay hype, I stay loose, I stay hype, I stay loose, I stay hype. I could do this all night, cause I do what I like. Yeah, I do what I like, yeah, I do what I like. Sipping goose, sip is right, and I go with the flow. Yeah, I
Coming in with the boot. Triple kill!
Cause I know I'm the show. In the zone, here I go. In the zone, here I go. In the zone, here I go.
Right, here comes Hammond, here comes the Graviton, Minefield, triple kill!
Let's go, let's go!
Bacon coming in with the Nano and the Sleep Dart onto the Monkey. Oh, right over the edge!
Yeah. Let's go!
Save with the Transcendence! One, two, three, quadruple kill!
Yeah. Let's go! Yeah. Let's go, let's go!
Coming out with the blade, quad, quintuple, double kill!
Let's go! If I know what I want, then I know what I get. If I go, they can win, cause they know I get lit. I'm a pro, not a myth, and my flow got some wit. Never slow, drink a fit. I get hype, I get lit. Here I go, I get lit. Here I go, I get lit. Here I go, I get lit. I get hype for the shit. Here I go, I get lit.
Welcome to the Overwatch Cavalry Club Scrims Diamond Division.
Just a few moments left to still hold on to it. Self-destruct claiming two and getting the D-Back. Torb into the corner. Melee to get the kill as he does get the opportunity. Knocking him into the air. Mercy still getting that chance on the front side as I continue to stay into it to the back line as it's going to be Widow now on the high ground as I am just waiting to try to survive. Here's the Ryan tucking in the back. Mercy! Can I get her? Boom! I got her into the wall as I'm now going to look for that Ryan in the backside. Getting another knock up here. Widow in the backside as I'm looking to also take her down as well. Boom! Into the wall! Blue team claiming it. It's going to start to turn it now. Red team still holding on. Now looking for the side.
Hello everybody and welcome to the O.C.C. Scrims. I'm Alex and I'm joined tonight with a very special guest, RichRadLive. Hello Rich.
Hello. Well, I was gonna say welcome. I'm so used to doing that for my stuff. But yes, I am super excited to be here. Thank you very much for the warm welcomes.
And we're so happy to have you with us. And we're also joined with hidden pencil over here, Crunchbite. Hello Crunch.
Hello, how are you doing this evening, Alex?
I'm pretty good. How about you?
I am super stoked for our special guest this evening.
Awesome. So tonight we have our Diamond Division Komodo vs Smile. However, I just want to take some time to introduce our guest. So, Rich, tell us a bit about yourself first.
Yes, so I have been playing Overwatch pretty much since its release. I wasn't one of those beta babies, unfortunately. Yes, I played it on and off. I've always been a Blizzard fan of their games, everything else, World of Warcraft, but gravitated a lot more towards Overwatch, especially going into the casting dynamic of things. I've actually been streaming and casting Overwatch literally like a year and 2 weeks ago. So that's been super amazing to have been doing that for even the short amount of time and gaining so much credibility out of it. But I recently did just complete Chinese and South American contenders. Now it's, 2 months ago? It was, 2018, 2019 Chinese contenders, and it's been quite the rush of things just being thrown at me, so I'm very grateful for that.
Awesome. And I believe that we had Crunch had a few questions for you. Why don't you go ahead, Crunch?
Alrighty, so we've previously talked beforehand just about the state of contenders and where Overwatch League is heading, but my couple questions that I had for you is that from your previous list, you have done both European contenders and also China contenders. Out of both of those two, what would you say would be your favorite to commentate, and just why? Just a little brief description.
Yeah, no, to be honest, crossover using the Torbjorn and the Bastion in synergy on Horizon Lunar Colony. Like, there were so many compositions that going into it, we were almost like, are they trolling us, like, with the spawn rooms, or is this actually going to happen? And surprisingly, some of the strategies really did follow through. Like, granted, after a while, it would kind of lead in certain parts of the map, like it typically does, into the goats meta, the 3-3 or the Zen goats, and all those different types of variations. But it was really refreshing to see them not be afraid to break the what we so see now in the goats meta.
Well, I mean, even with just the traditional 4 DPS that are coming out, the main impacts of the GOATS comp that came out from that was definitely just the Doomfist and also Sombra, just because you can instantly silence a target that is just completely immune to just even trying to help his team out in any way possible because they have no access to any of their abilities. But the downside to that is that once you do get that proper engage and everything like that, then you drop all those ultimate charges that were built during those times, and you have to reset essentially everything, but you still have the point at your control.
Oh, definitely. I mean, it's crazy.
And with that we'll go into that a little bit later. But my last question for you is that you've done a lot of work with contenders. Is anything in the future for you for doing Overwatch League?
I mean, that has been something that we in my community have been talking very much. Like, I actually hosted Golden Boy, who was the host of Overwatch League in Season 1, and I've been able to come across individuals who have been a part of Overwatch League recently, and just, kind of chit-chatting with them. It's something that I could definitely see sometime down in the line. That's the goal. That's the end-all, be-all goal. If I could actually be a caster for the Overwatch League, that would probably be like the greatest accomplishment in regards to the game itself. But I know that they have so many individuals that are very experienced. I mean, even some of the members that were a part of the Contenders Chinese casting group, they were brought into the NA Contenders to hopefully be a part of Overwatch League. So there's a lot of stepping stone, especially as the Overwatch League and the esports scene continues to grow. But it's just one of those. It's one of those kind of like right place, right time. People interacting and finding the work that you do fortified enough and well enough that you can be presented the opportunity. And we'll see. I mean, it's one of those things that you just kind of have to take in stride. And if the opportunity presents itself, hopefully you'll be able to walk through the door.
Oh yeah, and it's just also having that background experience of just playing previous Blizzard games. The easiest example is that Zoe did a lot of stuff in StarCraft, and that's how she was able to get her foot in the door for all the Overwatch stuff, and now she is not reclaimed, but is known more as a very predominant impact on what the Overwatch League community is doing, and she's doing an excellent job of what she is doing for the community as a whole.
I mean, it's the face of the brand. I mean, it's individuals who truly understand what the mission statement is that Blizzard wants to present, and that's one of the biggest things that I try and focus even on my stream. Like, I have so many people that love more of what I do in the casting, even though it's, let's say, in a less formal situation because it's me just quick play casting. The fact that it's like when I come across people that are salty, or they'll be like, oh my goodness, like, hey, you know, shut up or stop talking or stop commentating. And I'm like, okay, you're being vulgar. That's fine. I'll acknowledge that. I'm going to mute you. If you'd like to mute me, press P, mute me, and we can continue. But I've actually found that I have had probably about every 100 people I come across, there's one person who is really vulgar, and they actually will apologize at the end of the match because they said, I actually am very sorry that I treated you that way, and it was an amazing opportunity to be in this match with you. And it's like, that's the goal here. Like, Overwatch has such an amazing community of following. That is why we have an esports scene as grand as we do, because Blizzard understands that there is opportunity here. And we have people who truly want to focus on a team, focus on a following, and have people truly involved with it. And that's one of those things that I can hope, you know, with my consistent growth, which again, I'm super grateful for, that, you know, can shine through in the grand scale of things.
Well, absolutely, and I really hope that your channel keeps improving the way it does. I've personally seen it, and I gotta say, you do a fantastic job at just commentating, let alone just interacting with people as a whole. That is quite amazing what you do, and I gotta say, well done for you.
I appreciate that, good sir.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to cut you off here, guys, and we're going to go ahead with our first game, Numbani, with our Diamond Division. So the floor is yours, guys. Have fun.
And Numbani's a great map. I mean, especially when you want to start off with it. And I have to say, from a lot of discussions that we've had, and I'm curious to get your intake on it, you know, some people say that that third point, that choke point between the archway and the upper left-hand door port, is probably one of, I think, the hardest positions to bypass on the attacking side. Would you agree?
It is, because at that point it's just not so much the defending team has the most righteous advantage of just keeping that kind of pressure right onto where the payload is, but it just completely halts the payload even trying to move at all, while the attacking team only has two windows of opportunity, which is essentially going up high, left or right, or just facing the attackers head on. While the defending team has way more wiggle room to move around, well, they can catch them in a tighter condensed area if the payload is still ramping up, going to the ramp, or even right in the middle of the archway.
I mean,
So
especially because of this GOATS meta, there's so much survivability, it is extremely difficult to bypass.
Just with the amount of pressure that the team has to put in order to even try and stop the remote defense is impossible at certain times, but as long as you're just able to keep focusing priority targets down, making sure to keep just getting those certain targets low enough to where DPS can either finish them off, or if your DPS are smart enough to where they can easily get a backline pick to just help reduce those numbers alone can easily just change the fight in its entirety.
And, you know, as we look at the defensive position here on, you know, the side of Komodo, they've got a Pharah play, the Pharmacy, which has been interesting. We've been seeing that recently from prior matches coming into, you know, the Scrim Knights.
Yes, with just Pinky himself just playing as the Pharah and his methods to that aggressive behavior. But I would definitely say with how the Pharmacy is tonight, I would definitely say it's going to be a lot more of a long-range battle, up close and personal endeavor.
And you see Voltage trying to get that early pick in the back on that Widowmaker, needing to be very careful as the dive is actually going to come in now on the high ground. Still trying to keep low profile, though, with the back line of Amara on the back with the Pharah. Still trying to maneuver forward. There's an early pick. Clever going to go down. Sleep as well onto Maul in the back. Managing to start getting some momentum here. Voltage getting the second pick onto a win. Now the third, continuing to pop off with that sideline. Nobody able to harass in the back as they are looking that they might be able to take this first point.
It's just incredible just how much pressure they're trying to push into with the coordinated dive that they're trying to have pushed up with it. But it definitely helped whenever the Sun was able to get that sleep dart right onto Mal in the backline and just stop the monkey from just trying to monkey around for that little bit. But just it wasn't enough for them to stop that push entirely.
No, it wasn't, and they did it with a decent amount of time here, and Voltage is going to lead the way right now with that infra site. They'll have the intel they need, and almost about to have both support ultimates to come up here soon as well.
With just that nano boost alone on just either to the monkey, or just trying to even provide something for just the Pharah to even get more splash damage and direct hit damage, I would really love to see how well it's going to work out for Bacon's advantage.
And to be honest, the fact that they've gotten Voltage right out of the fight early with that backline aggression, even though they have the exchange, it's now actually going to swing into favor of Clever again. They got the res in the back, finding that opportunity. Win now also going to get the other onto Hammer, so they might look to stabilize here. They're playing cautious around this corner. The dive in the back continuing to happen. Hammer, since they do have that Primal Rage, gives them a little bit more flexibility, but a beautiful sleep, dropping the self-destruct on the front with the shield just to completely negate it, not going to gain any value, and the ult economy is not really going in the favor of Komodo. It's still Smile doing a fantastic job utilizing their positioning and maintaining these ultimates in tandem to push forward, and still going to have a follow-up with Rocket Barrage in addition, looking to zone them back because they are playing so aggressive right now.
With all this aggression, the one thing I'm just seeing over and over again is just how much Hammer is in with the unassistance of his D.Va, and from that it's just really showing that without that kind of D.Va matrix or even the extra D.Va damage to just follow up with just rockets or even just auto fire alone, it's impossible for the Winston to go into that backline, try and get those picks with the D.Va while the rest of the team just instantly shreds them.
And that's one of those moments where you see the disconnect in communication, especially when it comes to the Winston and that D.Va coordination. You have to have really synergistic engages to make sure that you get the most out of it, and they just have a hard time as now the Dragon Blade on the high ground's going to come out. Clever looking to turn it back, though, as they get a sleep, forcing the entire team of Smile back, trying to survive through it, doing a great job on their disengage. You will get a pick, though, onto the Mercy player, so they do have at least some opportunity to maybe get some ultimate charge here, as they will get the self-destruct, and probably just about halfway for Hammer, along with Mishra as well.
Even with only the Nanoblade getting one pick during that entirety of the fight, it was just that presence of the Genji Nanoblade just instantly ready to one-slice anybody that was right in his path that wasn't above 200 HP. That alone was a threatening enough presence for them to immediately disengage from that fight, and for them to try and reconnect themselves to regroup for this next fight.
And the ultimate advantage is going to go on the favor of Smile. They do have the opportunity. Here comes now the Nano in the back onto Bacon with self-destruct, able to claim both supports in the back, taking them down and forcing them away. Clever gaining another, but will be retaliated upon by Maul in the back to hopefully stabilize here so they can start getting through this choke point, which we talked about earlier is so difficult to bypass.
It is just that tight corridor, which has been made even tighter with just the presence of the payload just now blocking just the immediate entrance. So now you almost have just a horseshoe effect where that is the only way the team is able to push through, or they're able to take either the bottom right or the top left to just try and get a sneaky flank, or to just try and have the DPS go around and get a backline flank.
And you do see Komodo starting to get these ultimates in their favor. They're looking to bottle them up. This is the best opportunity for right now, especially with them having the two support ultimates coming up here to hopefully stagger and not overlap them.
With that, it's just seeing this incredible pressure push up with just the Reinhardt, and definitely with just having the rest of the DS follow in and just trying to get in that tight little area with the Winston and the D.Va. It's quite impressive just seeing them just hold up instead of trying to push out while they're just taking just this rain just coming in from Clever's Genji Blade.
And they did a great job. You saw the Deadeye come out. They needed to force it. They were looking to try and get value out of it. Didn't. And they're now going to look to switch onto the Hanzo. And I like that. They get the vision between these two choke points. They didn't use all ultimates here, staggering it enough that Lord is now also going to have another self-destruct here. And they're in a good position on this defensive side.
I think the way they would have to hold up and just actually keep pushing forward is to actually take that archway. Now that they have the defensive Rein Shield to easily block for the backline, and then having that combination with the Zarya just having that extra damage pushing forward. But we just gotta see how well that plays.
And that backline dive gonna come in. Hammer dropping the shield. Will they be able to cover it? Not gonna be able to get everyone. Arama is gonna go down in the back, but quick res to get them back in the fight, trying to keep the numbers advantage here. It will be a 6v5 as they look to push forward. They have to get around this corner. That is absolutely critical for them as they continue to try and maneuver as the self-destruct, and now gonna get the D-Mech not available. They have to play cautious, only having this one tank here as they have a last opportunity to hold against the movement of Smile.
With that kind of pressure that the Zarya has been putting out for the team, the attacking team, it has been incredible just making sure to take down those tanks, especially getting the D.Va D-Mech to fight to get that early stagger to where she still isn't in the she still isn't even in.
And the Earth Shatter comes in from behind with a beautiful response by that Transcendence, able to get them through it, but it's still getting a double on the side of Weapon. Now moving in the back line, you do get the Dragon Blade going to come out. Immediately brought down though by a Wind's Plague on the front as they out for this nano boost to try and gain some value. Mishra getting the Dragon Strike through the wall, able to try and pick out one. Bacon getting down as they're just going to have now this respawn advantage on the side of Komodo, trying to get them to force away. You do see the retreat. They cannot over-aggress onto this payload and risk the opportunity of them gaining even more ultimate charge here.
just the amount of pressure that Reinhardt can push out, especially when he knows that Winston bubble is up, he can easily get free shatters just as was previously shown. But that team has to focus up and get those targets that are either flanking from behind, especially with that Hanzo Dragon that just came up and took out just Ana entirely, but making sure to have every bit of focus damage onto the targets whenever you're in favor of that payload push.
And I'm interested to see how this Tracer play is going to be on the side of Smile with a minute and 13 seconds still to go.
I would definitely say is just to try and get that backline pressure to just stop that Zenyatta from getting those Discord targets, or even just stopping the amount of immense healing that the Ana is pushing out towards those targets.
And the Valkyrie gonna come out on the front, getting a huge eat by that. Oh my goodness. Lord Ukin able to take it down, but now Hammer looking to follow up with the assistance of a Wind's Plague. Rez, though, still gonna come out on the backside by the Mercy, getting Bacon back up. Voltage getting a quick pulse bomb to drop, not gonna gain any value, but regardless of it, they are still holding strong right now to try and regroup with now 40 seconds still to go.
That eat was insanely critical because now they have nothing built Zarya grab. If they're still able to keep playing with it well to make sure that Zarya can keep eating those bubbles and have high energy to keep building up for it, that was a very critical ultimate to be eaten at that moment.
And again, with that change in the nerf recently to D.Va, you have to be very careful on when to use the defense matrix. Self-destruct now going to come in the backside. Will they be able to tuck the shield? Going to get one, going to take down the support, and that spells disaster right now as they are going to have to force themselves forward with the 6v5. Now the 6v4, Earthshatter to drop as well. Shield is going to be up as Amara is going to go down to the backside as it will be Komodo wanting to say no good for you, and Smile is going to have a frown face, not completing the map of Nubani.
As you were saying previously before the match started, that archway is absolutely killer and nobody ever anticipates it just because those critical moments are very few and rare. But whenever they do happen, it is a monster to try and push over and try and make those kind of plays.
It really is. And the few things that gave them at least a little bit of benefit is once they turned the corner and they at least were able to maneuver through it, they could try to regroup on it. But again, like you said, that grab eaten was so devastating. The switch onto the Zarya going into that third push was the opportunity for them to land that ultimate, to capitalize through that choke point, and because it was eaten, they lost all the value out of it.
And then at that point, it was just trying to follow up and trying to get something even remotely moving forward, but having that D.Va bomb immediately taking out the Mercy while the rest of the team is still trying to push, while Amara tried to come up and just do a Death Blossom, but then immediately getting shattered into it, and while the backline is still putting that pressure onto them, it was just that slow and steady trickle effect that you do not want Smile to be witnessing at these kind of moments.
It really is. And, you know, going into this, we're going to see now on the defending side here for Smile, we're going to actually see the Torbjorn play. And again, this is something that is not so strange. With the alteration, being able to capitalize on a zone with Molten Core, the position, because there is elevated areas where you can get some long sight lines, there is some still compositional benefit to this, especially with the two supports and the Widowmaker sightline as well.
I mean, I'm just an old fan of just some of the Overwatch League, like previous stuff, but my favorite play that I always love to see on Nubani was the Houston Outlaws attack, to where it was triple DPS with Ruckus himself, the support player, was just playing Soldier just to get that extra damage to push up and take the first point.
And you're actually going to see Mishra on the Hanzo again. That late switch at the tail end of the prior round, they will look to lead with it this time to see if they can gain value with the Shimada brothers here. Ooh, what an early pick as well. Now on the high ground, you're going to see the Winston jump into the backside as it will be Clever getting a pick onto Volt, and now the other, they just continue to stagger them, completely dominating on this high ground, regardless of the DMEC that they got with the Torbjorn, and looking to clean this up swiftly.
Just that early pick onto the Zenyatta, just immediately shutting down that off support, any chance of having any kind of charge being built for him, or even just getting any Discord damage off. That was insanely critical to try and get that first line pick.
And now they have a decent ultimate economy as well. You're going to lose the percentage here. You do see Smile already opting to switch 3 and losing at least 30% on each, trying to turn this corner, and be very careful on how they want to engage this, with Mishra on the top pillar as well.
I would definitely say it's very risky of them to be trying to do 2 off tanks instead of just trying to have a front tank, especially with kind of this heavier dive that we've been noticing.
In the back, you see them trying to get some take damage. D.Va waiting for that dive. Again, the synergy. Here comes the Dragon Blade, though, coming out front. They do get the Nano Blade, claiming 2, wanting the 3rd, looking for the Reaper as they look at the back line. Not going to get it as he's going to get those shurikens right to the face as they continue to push with an entire team kill. Oh my goodness, that was beautiful by Clever.
That alone, Clever knew immediately just to take that opportunity for theirs due to all the just recent character changes, and above all else, that early game pick against Zenyatta, he knew there was no chance of a defensive ult ever coming out against that, and he just had free reign to just immediately get those picks.
Though being a little aggressive right now, Voltage going to get that flashbang quickly onto him, taking him down as they're going to try and hold now Dragon Strike through the center of the street, able to get one, taking out the support in the backside once again, as they now get a second follow-up here onto Bacon. Primal Rage as well. Their momentum is so well put together right now. Self-destruct isn't going to gain any value, taking it out a little bit too far to the outer corner, losing the health value, but still, they have the Transcendence going into this and are already at 50% for the Sun to go with a nano boost.
With just these picks that have been coming out so early, and even with the defending team just trying their best to just capitalize on these ultimates that can be the most aggressive way possible to just stop that, it's just not working in their favor too well because their backline is just getting dove immediately without any checks towards that Winston or Diva.
And one of the biggest things they need is this Death Blossom right now. They have, big Bionade though to come in the backside. They do at least get the D-Mech here to try and force them around the corner. And again, this is that choke point. This is the critical moment for them to try and maneuver through it. And they're not going to be able to do it. They force the retreat. The early picks are going to force them away. Now they get the Diva stagger here. They're going to try and just draw it out. As now you get the triple kill in the back, allowing them to practically generate the graviton from that entire engage.
That alone, just from that Diva D-Mech, was just that moment that it was just reset entirely, make sure to follow up, and just above all else, save your ultimates for those combos, because right now the ult economy is looking very strong.
And now on the backside again, you see them try to wait. They have 6 ultimates practically to their advantage, and the Dragon Strike with the potential nano boost, even the Earth Shatter might be the opportunity here, but they have to wait for that window. They need the shield to drop. It did drop there, but didn't look to use it just yet as they try and turn the corner, but there it is! It's gonna be big! Claiming 4 is the Bionade's gonna land with the Dragon Strike combination as well, looking to clean up. 3 members still being able to survive in the back though through it as Hammer looks for the follow-up, tucking around the outer side, and now they're in the clear. They've got the momentum. Here's the golden box of victory, but the Deli in the back trying to get it, does get 2! It will be Mishra and Lord going down with the triple on the Sun as they want to turn it back with just under 2 meters. Transcendence now gonna force it out. Earth Shatter to come up on the front on the side of Smile, looking to shut them back as they are just under a meter. They have the respawn advantage here. Grab now gonna be pulled onto the front. They want to isolate Hammer to try and get him out of the perspective of those support players in the back, managing to do so. Sound barrier as insurance, but probably could have held on to it to sustain through this next 3.5 minutes still to go.
That itself was an impressive hold. Just Amara coming out and immediately stopping that sort of shenanigans with that Death Blossom. Even though the Zenyatta Trance was able to force out some of the damage, that wasn't what the point of that was. It was to stall for the rest of the team to come out, use their ultimates, and stop that kind of push. What an incredible play.
And again, with Voltage now coming out on the Tracer at this tail end again, I like the pick because they don't have the Brigitte to stun it or CC it like we've seen before.
But with that,
and the Dragon Blade's gonna come out in the front, able to get a lot with the self-destruct as well. Will they be able to claim it? It's a triple kill coming out by Clever. Dash reset for 2, as that's gonna be a clean sweep here, getting an entire team kill, allowing them to complete the map of Nubani.
That alone was the reasoning why it was so critical for them to immediately back up, take those moments and just recollect themselves, just so that way they could instantly go in with the Dragon Blade and just wipe that entire team as such.
And let's see it firsthand right now. It's going to be that midway point after they just get the transition into the payload. That Nano Blade once again. Flashbang almost getting him. Missed that earlier, but still being able to persevere through it as the rest of the team follows, coordinating behind him. What a great job and assist, because that would have been devastating to shut that down early with 5 Dragon Blade kills, 14 total.
That alone is the tremendous reason why you still want to be running a defensive ultimate, especially one as powerful as Zenyatta. With those kind of just immediate combos that is just being shown entirely throughout those matches, you gotta be sure you're preparing yourself for those kind of fights, because whether it's just solo shattering a Nano Genji Blade, or even just keeping just a defensive ultimate such as the Lucio Sound Barrier, or even just the Zenyatta Trance, those moments are critical, especially whenever the distance is so close for the attacking team to just take that point and make it theirs.
And again, I do have to say, I know I commented on it twice, because I personally like to see Tracer. I love Tracer play, because it can just be such a nuisance, and they switched in the vital moments that they needed to, but I feel that as much as it was beneficial to them, because they didn't have the real hard counter to it, I don't think it was maybe the best switch for them in the grand scale of things. Once it came to that later portion of the fight, they needed either more survivability through it, or they had to have a harder engage. Personally, at least that's how I'm looking at it.
To me personally, if they personally just went with a GOATS comp to just immediately stop any sort of that shenanigans, they would have the hard CC lock that they would have had for the Brigitte immediately, with just the immediate Rhine damage that would be coming up and just the forward front swinging damage, along with just having the Zarya just benefiting off of the immense damage coming in, and that character alone, just after 80% charge, can put out just as much damage as any other DPS, with having 3 support ultimates that can be used very, very cautiously, but not so to the point where if you drop it, then you lose it.
It's very true. And like I said, we saw, I think, because we talked about this a little bit earlier, where especially when it comes to individuals trying to climb rank, it's really about ultimate management and knowing when to use it. And to be honest, we saw the grab being eaten. There were a couple times, I'll say as well, that Smile, in their push, especially before reaching that 3rd and final checkpoint and before the choke, there was a lot of overlap of ultimates, and that was one of my biggest concerns. Like, you do want to secure the checkpoint, but at the same time, you have to look at the long haul. You have to look at the macro view of the map from start to finish to know that you have to just really keep something in that momentum to just snowball, especially through such a difficult choke point.
With all that, you still have, and exactly what you were saying, that 4 minutes that you still are having to defend against that team, especially with that short amount of distance, that it will go back with a little bit of time. But on top of all of that, it is incredibly painful to just watch those kind of moments just trickle away due to just sloppy ult management.
I agree with you. And again, going into this next match too, it looks like it is going to be, let's see, I think they're confirming the matchup. Is it Lijiang, if I'm correct? Yes, it looks like they are going to confirm Lijiang. So let's break this down a little bit here. Now we're going from that hybrid map position to a control point where we see a very dominant GOATS composition. It's something that's a little bit more profound because of just the brawliness and the sustainability on these points. After seeing this, do you think that Komodo has just as much advantage going into this, or a little bit more, or do you think it'll help Smile going onto this map since they are the ones who picked it?
With having previous experience with both these teams just been playing for the past couple of months, I've been able to witness them. These are 2 very heavy-hitting teams that once they get that synergy down, they are an unstoppable force, and they can instantly take what is theirs. Especially for GOATS comps, they are both worthy adversaries for working out the GOATS comps. But at this point, it looks like Komodo is going to be working more towards a dive comp, just that coordinated, very, very intricate backline dive to take out what kind of low health supports or even just low health DPS. But with them switching over to the Rhine Zarya combo, I would really like to see how well they can do, especially with their DPS being able to play just a variety of heroes. We saw just Mishra playing a little bit of the Hanzo, and then a little bit of the Reaper, along with Amara playing her Pharah, and along with her playing her Reaper. I would really like to see them trying to do a 2-2-2, but at the end of the day, I would definitely love to see these 2 teams just go GOATS to each other, and it will be a very tight and close match.
And again, especially with Night Market, the first map that we're going to go on to Lijiang right now, there is quite a bit of verticality along with decent cover. So looking at Mishra hovering over that Pharah play is actually not so surprising here, because you can really just chuck so much damage through those window ports and gain a lot of advantage, especially over this GOATS comp, which we're going to see by Smile, and how effectively it's going to be against them.
And it's also the decision based on from the Zenyatta, whether it's that, do we need a Discord Pharah to immediately annihilate any sort of form because we have no hit scan, or do we still keep following with what the team needs, which is just putting up that frontline Discord damage onto those tanks and just keep pushing forward.
And it's going to ensue quickly. They are looking to force them back very quick. Komodo a little bit outmatched here, having to be pushed back. They do get the early pick with the Pharah composition that they have, finding some sightlines here. Teddy Ursa is going to go down. That Zenyatta Discord no longer available, and now the rockets rain overhead. The Bionade in addition, they're just shredding through the health values, trying to gain more value on this side by Smile, but falling very short, as that's going to be a clean engage here by Komodo.
That trickle alone from the D.Va, that is going to hurt Smile for just a little while, just because they have to wait for that little bit of time to come up, and that is just clock ticking on the defending side for just them sitting there holding that choke.
And this is the difficult part too. Now Mishra is in a position to just unload rockets on the front. Earthshatter gonna come out, but will be blocked. Now in the return, you see a few getting knocked down here by Maul in the back, but it's not gonna matter. Komodo coming on the front, just continuing to dominate in this position. The ult exchange favoring them, and still gonna hold on not only to the infra, but going to have the sound barrier. The grab coming as well. Rocket barrage. It is just so highly in their favor right now that Smile is really gonna have to tread cautiously moving forward, and they switch now, having that ultimate with the Brig coming out shortly.
with that aggressive shatter coming out from the Reinhardt on the attacking side, it is incredible just to see it try and take it from that alleyway instead of trying to take it out in the open where you can have it just be immediately close quartered.
And you see the pin coming quickly by Hammer. The rocket's going to be negated by the shield, but since the attention was overhead, they got the pin and followed up now. But you do see the Discord starting to favor Voltage in the back, able to get Mishra now with the follow-up here by Brig as they just continue to force them back. That was the opportunity they needed. They didn't absorb the damage by the rockets and did a great job responding to it.
It was immediately, I was insanely impressed with just how Volatile just went into their back line, put that kind of pressure onto Ana where she was at that point, missing the sleep dart, only getting a little bit of help from just the bio nade, but just having that front line aggression coming out from that kind of support, that will stop any kind of healing that someone wants to put out.
And here comes the Earth Shatter, not going to gain any value out of it. Self-destruct dropped in the back, but the Bionade will land, but that's just still too much for them. Clever at least getting one in the backside, but it will be most likely a retreat here by Komodo because they cannot commit to this. Sound Barrier going to come out as well as they continue to force them away. They want the percentage back as it's 65 to 32 and still climbing in favor, but Smile now having to be careful. Grab going to pull them into the wall. Will they have the damage to back it up on the inner side as the break still maintains it? And a beautiful Transcendence coming out by Teddy Ursa to keep them alive and well.
It was insanely close, just how close that Brig was just down to just immediately being destroyed. Being anti-nated and getting the grab right onto it, having that timing with just the Zenyatta Trance able to save those key targets and just keeping the fight alive just based on having those supports up is insanely critical for these moments.
And you're looking for the flank now. You see the Rockets raining in from the left position on the defensive side. The Earth Shatter going to gain 3 in the back. Can they manage to follow up onto it? Rocket Barrage coming in. Will be mitigated though by the D.Va Defense Matrix, getting at least some of the damage prevented, but it's not going to be enough. Mishra now coming in with a triple, including the D-Mech, as Lord is also going to get the follow-up here. Beautiful job turning that around by Komodo as they're going to claim this back and halt it at 75%.
That face slam just against the Mishra while the Pharaoh was ulting might have been the best advantage if the Mishra was even remotely down to half health, but if still full health, that is just taking out that D.Va mech while immediately removing all of that defense matrix, and you could have just taken those moments and just waited for just those little itty-bitty things to just add up over time.
And again, we're at the 83% marker. We're continuing to get higher and closer to this as the Bionade again with the Earth Shatter in the back, claiming 3, and they want to turn it back. Smile getting a dominant push onto this team with only utilizing 1 ultimate there and turning it back, as they're going to now have potentially 4 ultimates on this defensive side as they have 20% less to get.
The safest shatter is always against. That was a great moment to take that kind of opportunity, just push forward, take out the supports, and then claim the point and just keep it in their favor.
And now going to try and penetrate through this doorway on the right-hand side from the attackers as they maybe get the backline aggression. Grab going to pull them together, doing a decent job, but not going to gain as much value as the Earth Shatter, but the knockback, giving them time to get the shields up to prevent it, as the Transcendence is now going to come on the side of Smile. Still holding through it, you do get Maul. Teddy Ursa in the back, also getting a follow-up here with the Zenyatta. Here comes the self-destruct, forcing them away. Overtime taking in the back as they try to just keep it. The trickles keep coming out, the Lucio on the wall. Mishra now going to get overwhelmed to the front side by that hammer, not going to maintain it any longer, as that will be round 1 for Legion, going to Smile. And applause.
Can we get a F in the chat for Lord Yukon for his
respect
disconnected? But I would definitely say for the side of Komodo, for them insanely just having that early game commitment, I would definitely say the Widow pick should have been changed a little bit earlier on, just with how much that Widow pressure was doing at the very beginning, but then started to fall off. At those moments, you have to be sure to be switching off the DPS, or even trying to get a more beefier and healthier target to just go in and help out the tanks, so that way Hammer isn't taking as much damage when being pushed up.
No, I totally agree with you, especially because they had about 65%. They got a majority of the point. At that, once they lost it and they started to generate on the backhand side, you have to realize that the Widowmaker loses so much opportunity when moving into this. There's the 2 viewpoints from the front position of the doors, maybe a backline position if they want to at least peek the corner, but there's really not too much value unless Smile would have played very aggressive. And we saw it slightly. We saw it slightly where they did start to push out through those double doors, and then that's when Clever had the opportunity to really find some sidelines. But outside of that, it was not the best of choice to stick with it, like you said. I agree very much.
And with that, it's just a coordination between the GOATS comps. It was massively in favor for Smile this evening. Their coordination was very strong. The support is coming out and just putting out those Discord targets, making sure to keep that kind of pressure down onto Hammer, the Sun, and all those squishier targets, while the Brig and the Lucio were just having free reign into just pushing forward, getting those crucial swings and getting those stuns, and just stopping their whole entire force just in any moment.
Agreed. And honestly, as we move forward, it's going to be interesting to see what the next map is going to be here in the rotation, because I'm almost slightly worried for Komodo if they end up going on Gardens. They do have the Pharah play, there is the open positioning, but once again, they find themselves in that choke point position where you have the window ports and that backline flank. They can get the environment, but I feel right now that Smile has been able to manage a point more effectively with lesser ult dedication, whereas Komodo has had to force a lot more resource to force Smile off the point.
Just the beauty of Goats comps, with all of those defensive ultimates at your disposal, with Briggs being a bit less than critical for those key moments, especially with having a Lucio and a Zentrance just at your disposal and just stopping any kind of just frontline damage from just keep pushing. It always helps that team just keep their defensive strong points strong while keeping their aggressive standpoints incredibly, insanely dominant.
I agree, very, very much so. And I would be curious to see if Clever is going to stay on the Widowmaker. I have a hunch that they won't. I don't think they're going to want to risk it. Going into this next match, as we do seem to be getting the reconnect now. It does look like, and again, that was 100-92. So, to be fair, this wasn't just an easy sweep for either team. Like, this was a consistent back-and-forth battle. So it is very evenly matched, I feel, regardless of the compositional selection.
With all that being said, though, it definitely came down to that kind of team coordination and just that ult management. And the way that Smile was just playing it with just that kind of Goats comp, they were doing an insanely better job this evening than with Komodo, because Komodo was able to only use maybe 2-3 at a time, and that's whenever they were able to build them and use those kind of combos. But just the credibility of just the Widow sightlines, once you're already trying to reclaim the point, it might help whenever there's not as many frontline shields, but with just that close of a team playing together and just stopping that kind of shenanigans, it always hurts that Widow to just not keep playing it.
And this is an interesting comp coming out by Komodo. The Ashe and the Pharah with no pharmacy composition and a partial dive by Hammer. So this is quite the interesting coordination that they're going to have in the backside as they do engage quickly again. The backline position, but Hammer and Mishra getting an early advantage here. 2 picks looking for the third. The DMEC just cleaning house right now, and they're going to strip the words out of my mouth regardless of how weird it seemed going into it. They just displayed some great awareness.
The way that you can instantly just describe this kind of comp is just in solo queue, just at higher ranks. A good way to be playing around with even a Hammond at this point is to just let the dive tank just dive in while the Zarya bubble can instantly gain that charge, and you still have the presence of a frontline tank just pushing in with the incredible damage and the sturdiness of the Zarya in the backline defending that kind of dive tank.
And they're looking to still go to that backline position. They don't want to risk the bridge. They have the displacement by the Pharah. They don't want to get an early pick in the backline since there are walls here as they lead into this now. Winston gonna jump on the back with the Tesla cannon, still getting a lot of damage with so many clusters. And again, they get the early picks on the both supports as the DMEC comes out again. They are just throwing damage at the team of Smile and just causing them so much confusion of what to do that they're gonna have to try and think this and hopefully get these ultimates high enough to try and lead with that in the fight. But you see Komodo with 4 right now.
They are just holding them and using them as strategically as possible for any of those given moments. And with that being said, just the Sun coming in and getting these nutty anti-group, stopping that Lucio from getting those wall climb stalls and just taking out those immediate picks has been insanely incredible for Komodo this evening.
And again, they're still going to try this back position. They don't want to waver from it. They still feel confident. They have the Transcendence to lead into this, along with the Earth Shatter. Bob going to come out, though, going to zone them through this choke point, getting a lot of damage onto the tank. Nano boost as well on the front, as it's going to be now the Transcendence Force. In addition, on the side of Smile with the Earth Shatter, trying to gain value, but Mishra getting the Rocket Barrage, claiming to nobody to handle that bird in the sky, as this is still looking like it will go in favor of Komodo.
That just insane amount of stomping, hopping, and just bionating the immediate front doors without any form of just that frontline shield protecting that backline has been extremely critical for these kind of just pushes for this evening. Komodo's been doing an absolute wonderful job at doing it.
And Now they get an early dive coming out by the Winston. Don't know if they really want to try and commit that early, but now they change positioning, and there's the boop opportunity. They get the Brig off there as now the Graviton comes in. Sound barrier, though, to sustain through the incoming damage that they may have, with Mishra continuing to just flourish on this map. Again, utilizing the high ground. 99-0. They did not like that first round at Night Market, and they are going to come back with a vengeance to claim it 100-0.
That insane, incredible amount of pressure that the Winston has been putting onto the front line, while they are just letting him turn around, and the Reinhardt shield just not being focused on where the Bionade is coming from, and having 2 to 3 of those targets, especially critical targets, just getting immediately Bionaded, no way of getting their health any way back up, and then they're out of the fight right as soon as they're trying to engage.
And I gotta say, they're definitely, they must be like hearing me somewhere in wherever they are located, because the comment that I had about the FAR not knowing exactly how much value they would get since they had trouble the time before, they definitely proved me wrong, so I need to take those words back.
Well, it's alright, it's alright. With that being said, the insane amount of pressure that Winston was able to push forward and keep up was amazing, just coming out from Komodo, and with Clever switching over to the Ashe, just having a little bit more, not the hit scan of just the Widow, but just having the overall versatility with the Dynamite has helped their team just with the AoE damage and just pushing in.
And it generates that ultimate so quickly. Early bash on the front, though, gonna come out by the Brig here on side of Smile as they try to force them off this high ground in the back, just near the server area, trying to regroup and find an early pick, but having a difficult time. There's the T-Mac. That's gonna give some momentum here, as you see Mishra getting very low and having to watch that positioning. Again, not having to hit the pharmacy composition, allowing her to continue maintaining the position in the high ground. Maul in the front, though, trying to mitigate that shield getting low. There's the bash onto Hammer. Beautiful response coming out by Brig, able to force them away as they no longer can try and risk this engage, since the Reinhardt shield for that anchor tank is no longer available.
That critical stun to just stop that Reinhardt, and especially just sit there and have nothing to protect him while the Sun was trying to keep him alive, with even him being bionated, wasn't enough, and that was where that fight just immediately turned on the side of Smile.
And again, it was really great timing, like you said, because with that recent patch change, now you cannot bash through the shield. On the front, here comes the grab once again, going to be used on the side of Smile with the sound barrier. Ultimates committed on both sides. 5 members being knocked down as they will get completely obliterated in the back. Smile coming in big with the self-destruct still in their back pocket as Rally secures them with a Transcendence soon to come.
That commitment of ults, my goodness, they really wanted to be sure that that team had to go down. They wanted that no shenanigans nonsense in their house.
No, they didn't, and now they're going to keep this fight to the front. They're not allowing them to get through this choke point here because they're at 55%. They want to 100. Oh, the shield going to be able to block the Earth Shatter, not gaining as much value. With now the self-destruct in the back. No shield by the Ryan. Doesn't matter. The damage is already there. Teddy Ursa able to get a follow-up here onto Plague in the back, just continuing to isolate them away from this opportunity to maybe at least try to turn it around. And they're still generating ultimate economy that is vastly more beneficial than Komodo.
Mal just blocking the Rhine Shatter. That ultimate alone stopped any form of pressure that Komodo was trying to push onto this team, and they were able to retake that kind of point, especially with that Diva Bomb coming through, and Teddy Ursa just getting those Discord picks onto all those weakened targets. That helps them, just keeping that aggression.
And another Graviton gonna start the wake. So quickly they were able to generate that between the last fight, with the self-destruct gonna come in by the back, but not gonna gain any value. And I think they should have held that 95%, but at this point it is desperation, and I don't think they're gonna make it, as that will be Smile claiming Lijiang Tower.
What a show we have for you tonight. 1-1 for Smile and Komodo.
I still can't believe how, yes, rightfully play of the game, because that was so ridiculously fast to generate that second grab between fights. Unreal. The energy charge, 80% going into that, and just laying waste to Komodo. Stellar job at the Zarya.
With all of that, it was insanely incredible just having the kind of Ryan, the Zarya, the Diva, and even with the Brig just pushing up and giving that Ryan that forward momentum aggression to just get those stuns, get those backline picks, and above all else, just focusing, getting that extra damage off when the team is trying to push, where at even some certain points, there were some blocked charges, and that Ryan being completely stunned on the ground with nothing to protect him, stopped any of that kind of shenanigans.
It really did. And now, again, they have to play very cautiously here. They were able to come back into this, Smile demonstrating that they're not just an easy pushover or an easy, thing that they can just sweep underneath the carpet here, because they've managed to do extremely well. It was an even fight 1-1. You saw Smile take round 1. Komodo then being like, no, like, we got this. We're gonna play this 100-0. And Smile being like, no, we're gonna one-up you. And it's gonna just be this feud. And I feel that once a control map happens, it's almost a morale shift. Like, I feel like that is one of those maps where, like, it's just that brawly head-to-head skill play that can really just change the mindset of a team. So I'm really interested to see how Smile is going to move forward from that.
Especially with just how those kind of mentalities are just being played with even like just those remote map changes. You could definitely see that with Gardens it was in favor because Mishra just had even more free reign as the Pharah, and even with the unorthodox comp that was being shown with the Winston Zarya, they were still able to keep applying that pressure onto that heavily aggressive Ghost comp, and they were able to just keep stopping it. But once they went over to Command Center, Goat's comp just works incredibly well with that forward kind of momentum, and the way that that team was shooting those ultimate charges was absolutely stellar, and they were keeping it up, and they were just getting all the ultimates out, especially with Voltage just having such high charge.
And it's been confirmed now that we are going to go on to Rialto, and I personally really like Rialto. Not because I'm an Orisa player and I like to get picks on that early defensive choke where the bridge is, but it's because there are so many long sight lines for that Widow play, which we did see done very well on the early part of the control point and even in the first map selection on Nubani.
Well, I would love to get with you more about this, but for right now, it is match 2 for this evening, and we will be starting to head into a 5-minute break. And tonight we have some lovely videos from Elfie, and we hope that you guys enjoy them.
Hashtag love Elfie production.
What is that? Hello, darkness, my old friend.
Nice.
J'accepte les demandes spéciales. Que souhaitez-vous entendre? Sécurité!
What they hit do? What they hit do?
Hello, everybody. We hope you enjoyed our halftime show. Thanks to Alfie for the video. So we're still joined by RichRadLive and Crunchbite, Hidden Pants. I don't know how to call you anymore, dude.
Hidden Pants.
Okay,
I'm not gonna
Hidden
lie.
Pants.
I almost thought you were gonna go Crunch Bandicoot, and I was okay with that.
No, that's not who I am. Human being.
So we will go in a few minutes in Rialto Map 3. It's 1-1 Komodo versus Smile right now. I'm giving the floor is yours, boys.
Oh goodness, what? You know what? That if anything, and I'm just gonna call you. I'm gonna call you that. Crunch Bandicoot. I'm kidding. I'm not gonna make that a thing.
Oh my goodness.
Crunch Bandy. But no, seriously though, we were talking a little bit just before the break about them going into the map of Rialto, and that there were some long sightline opportunities, and we've witnessed some great gameplay by Farah coming out on Mishra for the side of Komodo, the Zarya play coming up by Voltage as well on Smile. So there's been some really great highlight plays here, and I'm really interested to see how these two teams are going to go into this map, because it is, again, a lot more open, I feel, than Nubani even.
With just these incredible sight lines, which is how much wiggle room even a Widow can have, even against a good comp, I would definitely say with just how Clever has been showing it, I think he will do insanely well, depending on how well the tanks can be able to coordinate, whether it's going to be an Orisa Hog or a Ryan Zarya, or even above all else, like if you just want to even watch another Winston Zarya. With those plays being put into the factors of just everybody coming in, going out and actually seeing where this kind of aggression is going to be pushed up, with the confusion of that team, there are multiple points of attack with just the Widowmaker getting the frontline picks, the tanks immediately hopping in and just stopping any sort of shenanigans, or we're just seeing the Sun get those anti-nades onto Smile. But Smile has also shown us that their determination and coordination on a Goats comp is not something to be reckoned with. They can immediately push through that tight choke, they can take what's theirs, they can keep that ult economy strong in their favor, and above all else, Voltage definitely showed that he can have high energy charges Zarya and keep maintaining it.
Oh, very much. But the one thing I'm more now, especially since we've seen it, again, you broke down a little bit of the reasoning behind, the Zarya Winston. It allows the Zarya to generate so much more energy faster than it would otherwise with that type of dive composition. But I feel that on that map, Smile going into an untraditional composition that they are not used to potentially seeing, I think is the one thing that Komodo may look to try and exploit here.
With just as much time as they were trying to put into those practices of just those unorthodox kind of comps, and just especially above all else trying out these new people that have been coming in with the replacement of certain positions, especially as off tank and as main tank, we have definitely been seeing a lot of just weird combinations just hitting what really could happen in these kind of scrim matches, especially at this higher level where that kind of unorthodox kind of behavior just throws people off because they're so used to a defined meta.
Oh, very much. And again, with this one, it looks like so far it is going to be Komodo here on the left-hand side as Blue going into this on the defensive side first. And I almost kind of do want to see the Hog Orisa. You touched on that briefly, and I just love the synergy between the two, especially since those early environmental opportunities and having to see how they'll play around it. So I'm just personally hoping that we get to see something like that.
I think for the side of Smile, we're going to be seeing more Goats combination. It just worked incredibly well with how they were going to be doing it. They had that ult synergy working very well, and above all else, that tank combination is still incredibly deadly when coordinated correctly. Even though there was a lot of times where the D.Va was getting demeched by the Pharah, that Pharah was still being kept in check by the D.Va Matrix.
Very much, and after looking at the composition, now we see the Ashe play again versus the Widowmaker, which originally I thought was a better pick, but yet again, going into this match, because of the dynamite, because of the positions that will bottle up potentially this Goats comp, I feel like that's going to give them actually more opportunity, especially with the generation on Bob.
Exactly. It just putting out Bob as often as possible is just as devastating as getting a grab every 25 seconds. It is just that heavy hitting ultimate that it can be considered as a 7th character, and above all else, just a heavy mobile character that can get it.
Ooh, and there's a displacement. Mishra going to get one onto Voltage in the back. And again, that early boop opportunity, it's going to give them at least some advantage, even though the payload will try to continue moving forward into this courtyard. And again, that's the open opportunity for the side of Smile to start pushing forward. Holding still on this point, looking to get some pick opportunity. The Discord in the back continuing to be cycled here by Komodo, trying to get that value on the front side. But again, Mishra getting another on this Pharah play, uncontested and unchallenged on this high ground, just raining damage with the follow-up by the rest of the team. It is just dominating Smile right now.
With the Brigitte being that far away from those tanks, that kind of combination is essentially key to getting those tight choke positions and just pushing forward, especially when the armor packs are coming out for the Reinhardt, that AoE healing is coming out, and that extra damage with the Reinhardt swings can be so beneficial for getting those targets super low.
And now going to try and again engage quickly on the front. Dynamite with the Bionade. This consistent usage of the Bionade coming out by the Sun is just doing so much work for the team on the defensive side, as now they still gain some momentum here, forcing Hammer back, playing very cautiously to try not to get picked off early as they move forward. Now going to get Bob in the back. The disengage is going to happen. Now Earthshatter going to be unleashed by both sides. Going to gain more value out of it coming out of the side of Komodo in this choke as they manage to tuck a few members to the side, but it won't matter. Mal is going to go down on the front, and now having to be careful about how this engage goes. The rally is at least going to give them some wiggle room here, but you still see Clever on the high ground uncontested with Mishra as well. Even though they have that Pharah play, the close encounter is going to give them so much more benefit as this fight just continues to ensue.
Oh, the D-Mech, the losing of that off support, and especially Zenyatta, that Discord damage is no longer there, and now with the Amara just going in and just immediately trying to get that re-mech, it's going to be a hard pick. And that pick alone, just that trickle down is going to stop any forward momentum that team was wanting to build. They need to regroup as a full 6-man stack and push together and get right through that choke with that ult economy.
And you see Clever already at 65% from that last fight. They're going to have Bob, and in addition to the 4 that they already have.
It is incredibly insane just how fast Clever has been able to get it.
Amara getting the Graviton again here on the Diva play, completely shutting it down. Beautiful placement, self-destruct in the back, going to gain 2, as now Smile is looking to bring the aggression to them, moving into this courtyard and gaining so much value out of it. Earthshatter here to try and just make sure that they get it. There's a little bit of a squad action coming out by the Ryan. Cheesy play right there.
A little bit of some BM right there.
Right?
That seems a bit inappropriate, but you know, that just means that from that point on, that kind of determination of those ults, it is now in favor for Komodo to keep pushing forward, especially with their ult economy looking as such.
Charge now going to come out in the back, but Bob immediately plays. They do at least get the pick onto Hammer, but both Ryans getting taken out of the fight as they are literally just under 2 meters here until this next checkpoint. Clever getting one on the support, finally taking down that Brigitte, since they no longer have the opportunity to take this space under the archway as they have to retreat. There's no ability to stay in that fight right now.
That Shatter would have helped them immensely trying to get that last point of the pick, but with that in mind, it's just how that Reinhardt really wanted to get that Ana out of the way.
And now still having 20 seconds to go. This is that critical moment. You see the rally, that early engage now coming out with a charge on the backside as they will get slept midway. Beautiful Bionade to land as well as the Earthshatter going to come out. Rocket Barrage overhead by Mishra as you see Komodo wanting to get their vengeance from that cheesy and cheeky play that they had with the solo Earthshatter usage, as they will hold them back and prevent them from reaching this first checkpoint.
There were a lot of ults trying to be pushed for that second to last push, and that was their biggest downfall, was just that incredible ult economy that they were coming into that fight with. They had to immediately halt that kind of production just so they can get all those ultimates out, just with none of them trying to connect, and especially with that last one being just a little bit overkill with how they were wanting to execute it. If they were able to keep all those ultimates and they were able to just keep methodically using them as we were seeing just in the previous match, we could have definitely seen a different kind of outcome coming out for Smile tonight.
I agree. I mean, honestly, that personal vendetta on the support right there was just like, I want it.
That was a boo-boo, like, nuh-uh.
And I gotta say, though, that was kind of the thing that I touched on slightly on Nubani. You saw Smile when it came to those moments where they reach this choke point, they reach the ending of where the checkpoint is, that they start to get a little too aggressive on their ultimate usage, where they could be playing much more strategically. And this is, I think, the second time that we've seen it happen now, that ultimate could have been used to so much more benefit to reach that and still have been in this fight.
With a lot of those being said and done, at the end of the day, this is still something that a lot of people really like to have as just something amateur. So these are very much so, at the end of the day, amateur players that really love what they want to do. They want to play in a friendly scrim environment, and with that, there is going to be a little bit of hiccups such as that. But the biggest thing that we want to evaluate on is not so much what could have happened, but just how differently they could have played that and just executing it in a better way for the next time.
Definitely. And as we do have the door opening in just a moment, you do see now, again, Clever going to be on that Ashe player. They do get the Lucio here for the movement speed, with Mishra looking for that backline flank already around the outer building.
I think incredibly, just having that Widow pick just to stop the Mishra was an incredibly insane pick, but it's definitely working out in their favor with them.
And now starting to move into the courtyard, you do see Clever still managing that high ground effectively, but they're playing underneath this archway, which is a great opportunity. Voltage almost getting the pick on the Widow, but forced to retreat now, and they really do lose that opportunity, having to play more cautiously as Clever has free reign. There's the pick in the back, though, onto Lucio, not able to sustain through it, as they do now have the numbers advantage, 6 versus 5, forcing them away. Voltage not gaining the sideline advantage here again on the low ground, but they're still keeping the contest right now with Clever on the high ground.
Getting that payload out of that tight choke is insanely important with these.
And the Earth Shatter coming in clutch right at the tail end of it. You do see that Bionade gonna land with the nano boost, so they have to play super cautious here as they're trying to hold them back, as they only do have a few meters left to really go.
With that, it was incredible just seeing Clever just still getting those backline picks on those supports, just immediately removing Teddy Ursa as the Zenyatta. With that Discord damage being gone, Hammer can immediately push up his Reinhardt and keep that pressure going now that he has no fear of the Discord on him.
Still just under a few meters to go. They do have that nice vision coming out by Voltage here, but finally going to lose it. Bionade again landing onto the 2. Gonna now have Bob dropping on the front. Discord quickly going to be thrown to him, but damage has already been done, taking down 1. Looking for the second support here. Going to get 2. Maul on the front getting return, though, at least trying to keep the numbers even as Clever comes in with 1 with the Bob following up, but it's still going to be a hold here on the defensive side by Smile.
With all of those ultimates coming out, though, coming back from Smile's side, even just for risking just for the Bob for that one alone, the ult economy is still in heavy favor for the attacking team, and I would really love to see how well they're able to use this next nano boost.
And they have Clever with the Tracer, looking for that backline harass, and again, somebody who can quickly generate an ultimate here in these last instances, able to try and get the Earth Shatter, but the shield just protects it in the corner, as now it's going to be the nano boost on the front for the side of Komodo. Dragon Strike through the backline position, trying to get a flank. The Earth Shatter to push them into it by Hammer, getting the double, 1 man to follow. Beautiful stun as well onto Amara on the backside as they continue to harass it. Now just continuing to trickle away. It's going to be, unfortunately, the opportunity for Komodo to reach this point, and will manage to do so. Sound barrier to boot.
That dragon play was incredible, cutting off that backline, rallying them up forward where the Reinhardt was immediately disengaged from those supports, and letting the Reinhardt getting a very heavy hitting shatter just on those supports and onto the wonderful Zarya that was just at such a heavy high charge, just immediately stopped any sort of shenanigans that team was trying to put up in the defense walls.
And again, here we see Mishra getting that displacement early for that environmental kill. What a nice opportunity of position. And again, there was really nothing that they could do against it, since they do feel confident in this GOATS meta. They still were able to push forward, which was a great chance, but just so much damage being rained overhead, and just really the control of their position is done so well by Mishra.
That incredible just placement between how Clever can be switching off from different kinds of hit scans, especially with him asserting his dominance as Ashe, with Mishra's complementary of the projectile DPS and just getting that backline harassment, with the GOATS comp that is just trying their hardest to just get through those tight corridors and maintaining that tight ult management that they were just showing us previously. I would definitely say that if Smile has any way of wanting to change this up for this evening, they gotta rethink how they want to be using those ultimates, and above all else, don't be greedy with them. You got to be sure you're playing them accordingly, and you got to be using them to the best of their abilities.
Agreed. And going into this next one, Smile, and we kind of touched on it. They want to play again the GOATS composition that they're very comfortable with. I'm curious to see if they might try and play a little bit of a variation of it to maybe contest against it. They're so very focused on, of course, the Reinhardt Zarya, and they need to maybe potentially commit the D.Va to the far, even though it is hard. I mean, that's just in theory the best option if they do want to stick with a triple kind of composition, because again, the defense matrix now being slightly nerfed does make that pivotal moment to prevent that incoming damage and just shutting down the Pharah a lot harder. Even though it's only a little bit of a nerf, it still just decreases that window of opportunity.
And even with just the changes to the armor as well, just that immediate heavy-hitting Reinhardt that could go into the front line, with the Brigitte that could be stacking up as much armor as possible, and even with just any sort of armor that's just being tossed around for the team, whether it's just being Torbjorn, Brigitte's armor packs, or even her own rally, that kind of damage now they have to play a little bit more conservatively when playing against a direct impacting Pharah. Anything with a high front damage, such as a Reaper, and above all else, anything that can be a heavy pick class, such as an Ashe, Widow, or McCree.
Definitely. And going into this next one, which it looks like it is going to be a 2CP. This is the typical 2CP. I think everybody knows that when we go into 2CP, that second point is always the bane of our existence. Let's be real, especially with the GOATS comp. So that may be something that, again, as we move forward, Smile opting to do, because they know when it comes to survivability, outlasting the enemy, either on the defensive or the attacking side, that is a very prevalent thing that we've noticed much more, even in the like competitive scene for contenders, that GOATS can just sustain for so long. And I think that this is a great pick coming out by Smile.
But as we also seen previously, there have been those stall potentials where it's just been 3 tanks coming out with just the Winston, the Diva, the Hammond, and any sort of stall potential that can come out, that can immediately kind of stop that disruption and all that momentum that the attacking team can have, to where the defending team can immediately isolate those targets, still be kept alive just based on how healthy the tanks are, and above all else, just making sure to stay on the point, keeping that pressure onto them as hard as they were to you, and getting those crucial picks, whether it be the high charge Zarya or even the support that has nobody contending.
Agreed. And I mean, to be honest, I do want to make a shout out, because there have been, I know we of course highlight some of the bigger plays like the Earthshatter, the Graviton, the ultimate from Bob, but there has been some seriously stellar gameplay coming out by these supports. I have seen some massive bio nades that have truly swung the tide in these fights.
That, and just even just with some of the Brigitte plays, the Lucio plays, it is incredible just how well just that kind of coordination between the tanks and the supports, and even with the DPS, as long as they're keeping topped off, they're healthy, and the supports are able to keep following up with how much pressure the tanks are wanting to put in, and reading those kind of measures, and just working together as a cohesive team is absolutely incredible, and especially from a position that doesn't get a lot of love.
It's true. And again, I was going to say, right when you said the Brigitte support, it still makes me think of that stun that came out on City Center for Legion, where that double grab in both fights was just absolutely unreal. And again, it's that opportunity, because we saw the concern about Brigitte. Because the stun no longer penetrated through the shield, you have to be a lot more aware in watching that shield activated rotation to know when that time is. And it's almost like that one-up skill opportunity of where, like, I am so ready for this, and then when you get it, especially moments like these, like you said, that it's the scrims, it's looking to have a good time, that's a highlight to yourself of saying, that was me. That was me.
Even just having a predominance in the kill feed, even just seeing those assistants, whether it's the Zenyatta discords, the Ana sleep darts, or even the Ana nades, and coming out and just having the additional of the just heavy hitting support of Brigitte, those alone make it to where it impacts how your position is in this game. You are not just helping them assist in that kill, you are following up and helping them gain that advantage of trying to prevent your team from losing as many people, while in turn making the enemy team lose as many as theirs as physically possible.
Well, and again, I mean, just to kind of touch, on some of the gameplay style of it, I know you yourself said that you reached Grandmaster with Zenyatta, you've played a lot of Zenyatta yourself, and understanding those key points, as a support, that there are a lot of vital things that you have to be aware of. Not saying that the tank and the DPS aren't either, but a lot of the time what I've noticed too is that the supports, especially as a Zenyatta, the shot calling is very critical. Or if you're not the shot caller, your immediate response to get that Discord onto it is very vital.
Following up on where the Zarya bubbles are coming down, making sure to take down the main tank so they have no frontline shield in order for you to easily keep discording backline targets, and having an incredible defense ultimate that can almost stop any sort of enemy ultimate, besides, the instantaneous ones such as Junkrat and Kree ultimate. those moments alone define whether or not you can keep that insane amount of pressure for your side, or at the end of the day, you are just another support that could be being played in a different adversity, especially with the variety of supports that we do have. But above all else, that survivability is insanely critical of just making sure that if you are keeping your team alive by healing them, that is priority number one. Zenyatta has a different concern for priorities, but still at the end of the day, Zenyatta still is a healer. He can provide damage in a way that still works as a DPS, but his job at the end of the day is still to be a defensive healer, especially with how his ultimate is being played.
Oh, definitely. And like, again, you spoke about it, like I said a little earlier, where it's management of that ultimate. Because again, I feel with Zenyatta there is that ebb and flow of knowing when and where to truly utilize it. I mean, we've got the nano boost, which is a huge nuke of heal to any prior target, or to main target, especially on the tanks. A lot of people utilize it to the Reinhardt, especially when it comes to trying to generate the Earth Shatter quicker, because it does help the generation there. I mean, even other supports, the Valkyrie is just a massive amount of fueled healing, potentially damage and capturing the point. But, when it comes to even Lucio, again, it's that huge shield protection. But with Zenyatta, it's like you have to weigh the options, I feel, a little bit more critically among other supports.
Always, you want it to be a numbers game. If you can make it to where you always save it for just the Zenyatta against the combo drag, that is always the best thing to be going up against, because no matter what, they're still using 2 ultimates to try and stop your 1 ultimate, and your team is still alive afterwards, and your team still has a better ult economy because they still have 5 while the attacking team only has 4. So whether you are using them for just getting rid of those high critical combos, especially with being shown with how Clever and the Sun were coordinating those Genji blades on Numbani, it was incredible just seeing how well they were able to coordinate with that, but no defensive ultimate to stop any sort of that shenanigans.
Very much so. And as we move forward, I'm still looking forward to seeing some potential Zen goats, because it really does, it changes the playstyle. Like, I mean, of course, but it's still just having that variation in the support picks can really just change the, I guess, play style of the GOATS composition.
Well, this is going back to what the original comp was for whenever it was in season 5 and 6. Mm-hmm. It was that moment where the dive comp was very prominent and it was incredibly dangerous. But what made it even more dangerous was removing Ana from that equation entirely, because the team didn't need that much healing, but that extra damage coming off from the Discord and having the speed boost from the Lucio. So even though it was 2 off heals and that amount of healing is still incredibly small, the amount of damage that can be put out and taking down those targets faster than how they can take down yours, that was insanely critical to just keep applying that much pressure. It's absolutely insane. And it's just those kind of little transitions.
Oh, definitely, because even as the GOATS meta, has developed over time, I mean, trust me, there were so many different terms that, we heard thrown around, floats and boats and goats and all these Zen goats and like all the different types. It's because people were trying to really, and players were trying to adaptively change the GOATS composition to better fit situations. But at the same time, it's like, you run the risk of now, I think, taking it too far. But it's been interesting to see the variations. And right now we even see on the defensive side, we're gonna see Mishra once again on the far play. Not surprised here. Been some stellar gameplay on the far, and they're gonna have Clever on the Genji though instead.
With that, it's just going back to those roots, making sure to have that defensive ultimates, especially with the Zenyatta trance, to kind of stop any of those combo ultimates, but Clever also knowing that he can utilize his combos well with the Sun and easily kind of stop that kind of shenanigans that team could be putting up.
And again, you're going to see them look to quickly maneuver through this. They've got that dive composition with the Winston Diva as they hope to get a pick. Even exchange, though, 1-for-1, but they lose the support on the side of Komodo as they only lose the hit scan Widow in the back. Now going to start pushing forward. And again, Mishra getting the double here, able to pick them off now with a follow for the triple. The kills are coming in on both sides, but Mishra still claiming the skies, hopefully looking to get the follow-up as we do have Wu able to get the follow-up here on the Bird, taking him down immediately, and that is a clean push right now coming out by Smile.
Niwu, that incredible Genji play that was being shown. It was just that backline dive to stop Wind's Plague immediately and to immediately hop onto those backline squishies that just could not take that forward damage, but that was an incredible play on your part. Well done.
I mean, the sub coming in here, they're not expecting it. That Genji play already almost at the Dragon Blade was so substantial for them.
Yes, and it was insane because even right now, with the way that they were wanting to play it, that kind of coordination between the tanks, that wasn't what their main focus was. It was to let Voltage and Niwu just keep getting those backline picks while the rest of the team can just keep following up and pushing on those backlines.
Ooh, and the Dragon Blade's gonna come out, but Hammer giving some great charge positioning to shut him down. Clever now gonna find some value on his own and gonna keep the Dragon Blade for that next engage.
With everything that is being said about how these two teams are playing tonight, I would definitely say with these changes of just how the subs are coming in and how well they're just impacting how everything is just being played, especially with that charge just going up against the Genji. That stopped any form of shenanigans that attacking team was trying to have whenever trying to push up from that last point.
See that high ground position. We have Mishra though on the Reaper. Haven't seen that too much just yet to see how much value it's going to gain them as they do have the back line. The Imp are going to give some vision. Diving in very quickly on the Winston, getting the Earth Shatter to claim 4, knocking them down, shutting the Primal Rage out of that fight immediately as it's going to finally keep alive for a moment or so longer. But there's a beautiful bio nade by Bacon, shutting down Clever, trying to get some momentum back into this Nano Boost. Now going to be unleashed on the front for the Monkey to get some great aggression in the back as they are able to hold this, trying to push it forward. Respawn advantage in favor of Komodo as it will be Clever on the Wrecking Ball, but now they're just looking to buy some time. Self-destruct going to come out, knocking that Transcendence away again. The spike damage is critical, but then we're able to maneuver around the pillar to survive through it. Hammer rejoining. There's the Zarya shield. That engage opportunity forcing them away. They were able to at least gain 1 tick, and now we're going to force the retreat.
Oh, what a risky play that Amara is wishing to show, but it looks like Komodo's not wanting to have any. That is a heavy stagger coming out from the side of Smile. That should have just been an immediate run back, change as fast as you can. Even if you're sacrificing that Diva Bomb, having that Diva Mech readily available for that next push, instead of having to wait that 10 seconds, is absolutely critical, especially for these kind of 2 CP maps where time is of the essence.
And you do see the switch now, so there was a little bit of some tact behind it that they did want to now have on the Zarya play, forcing it in the front. So I do get the opportunity, but again, you feed ultimates there, so it's a real catch-22 on what you decide. Now with the Death Blossom, though, coming in with the shield regardless. Beautiful coverage as they at least get 1, but an amazing shield placement by Maul on the Winston to prevent the damage, forcing them the retreat, and Hammer taking him down, but still, the value they prevented for the side of Komodo was very well done.
With Bacon immediately knowing just that kind of behavior coming out from Mishra, because he's been up there quite often now, and they're readily available to just stop any kind of shenanigans with it. That immediate anti-nade to stop that kind of healing coming out from the Reaper, and with the well-placed bubble that was being placed by Mal, it was awesome just seeing Mal just taking his distance, getting that pick while he was in die, and him not being able to receive any of the heals.
And now the Graviton going to come out on the bridgeway. They may have the damage. Beautiful Bionade, though, on the both sides, actually. They got the healing, then negated it overall as Maul is now heavily out of position, unfortunately, with the charge. They will minefield just to secure and break away this team, splitting them in half as they're going to have to force another retreat here with a Fire Strike shot onto Voltage.
With all of that, it is insanely incredible just how often you just see these Ryans just try and just get these heavy hitting charges, but with the distance that they are going at, you cannot utilize that charge and that kind of behavior, because with Mal immediately going into that backline there, they immediately lost that frontline shield. All that kind of forward potential has been lost, and just with Hammond just coming in and just putting those mines down, they cannot push up.
And that's a great pick that they got with the flashbang. Voltage able to isolate him away. The Earth Shatter, great coverage by the shield. They still will get 1. Bionade gonna land again. Mishra now gaining the triple kill. Free with the Nano Boost to just dominate in the back, but now they're gonna have the Nano Blade as well coming out on the side of Smile. Trying to gain value, no longer having it on that side for the aggression as they try to just stagger this out. They want to contest on it, but the damage has already been done by Komodo that they have to force a retreat, and they cannot manage to survive.
This is absolutely incredible because we just mentioned it. With that kind of heavy hitting charge, with that long of a distance, that kind of uncontrollable Ryan can just go in and then have himself completely negated from that fight. With even the ult advantage of just having the nano-bladed Genji pushing forward and just keep moving up, there still needs to be some way that main tank has to maintain that frontline shield to prevent that kind of shenanigans from happening.
And you see the same type of playstyle coming out from Mishra. that poke harass. You see them trying to have to focus it. The Deadeye, though, by Voltage. Will they be able to move forward? Bionade landing onto 4 members as you see Mishra flanking from the rear. Earth Shatter to come out, though, as it's going to be the Death Blossom coming on the front. Shield going to maintain some of the protection as it's now an even exchange. Graviton coming out on the side of Smile, able to get them pulled into the center. Minefield now going to give them some positional advantage to try and get the contest. Does at least get rid of Ryan. Maul going to go down as Voltage looks to take the return onto Mishra. Having the charge in the back, they're not out of the fight just yet. The respawn advantage still in favor of Komodo. Clever getting the melee, starting to force them away again. And unfortunately, with the commitment that they put into that, Smile wasn't able to get another tick here.
This is incredible defense hold that's coming out, because they obviously know that Mishra is still holding up that high ground, still getting that poke damage, following up behind him, but yet they're still trying to go in as a huge group where Reaper can just instantly hop in, double, just shotgun blast the tanks from behind, still be kept topped heavily, and they're just getting nothing in return because of that ante.
Now starting to maneuver forward again. You see it lead the way with another high noon. Gonna be Bio. Triple members getting hit and turn purple with now the sound barrier to give some protection. Trying to maneuver forward. Mishra once again taking out Voltage in the back, the rear position time and time again as the Fire Strike comes on the point, but the Dragon Blade now going to be unleashed, gaining as much value as possible, but the Transcendence will be forced at the tail end of that. Unfortunately, to not gain as much value as they could have needed. Graviton to prevent them and get them isolated away on that front pillar, managing to turn it back around with now 45 seconds to go, and the only ult economy that Smile is going to have is Bacon with the Nano, and now Amara with hopefully the Graviton.
With that Graviton, it has to be critically used to either get that Mishra off of that kind of just backline, or even just isolating just the Reinhardt and getting rid of that Zenyatta. With the Zenyatta trans out of the fight entirely, it is absolutely insane how much damage that Graviton is going to be used, but it has to be used in their favor correctly.
Now Mishra waiting for it. The Earth Shatter on the front, gaining 3. Here comes the pin follow-up onto the support, taking out Titterursa. Oh, and Hammer getting the triple, laying it down big regardless of the sleep. Quad kill is a total for Hammer, with Eternal getting the follow-up and cleaning it up. An entire team kill, as they are only going to be able to claim 1 tick on this second point.
That was incredible. Just that heavy hitting coordination, especially with that Reinhardt just knowing what was going on, that kind of heavy aggression, just pushing up, stopping any form of shenanigans, and above all else, Hammer just getting these 5-man shatters, just stopping this kind of movement.
Yeah, it's really going to be interesting to see how we move forward with this. And with Mishra playing that high ground so consistently, you saw the engage coming out with the Genji. They tried to get some harass to force him off the high ground, but even with the reposition, you saw some great mobility coming out by Mishra, utilizing that Wraith form to get back into the fight quickly to make sure that he was never truly ever out of the fight.
It was absolutely just coming back down to just following up and just keeping that team coordination, plus having the heavy-handing hit of trying to move in with the speed boost of just having Voltage with the McCree ultimate. Him getting it in such a quick amount of time is impressive, but the just having that much attention to only one ultimate while the rest of the team is still trying to focus while the Sun is just getting those anti-nades and just stopping that kind of push, that is something you have to look at and keep weighing those options, not keep trying to bang your head against the wall and just hopefully it sticks and it works. It has to be changed. You have to make those changes, and that is the only way you're able to win these kind of Overwatch games.
And it looks like we're going to have the more traditional that we saw even before the GOATS meta, that Widowmaker Hanzo, that just explosive damage for the one-shot kill. And we're going to see how it's going to work on this first defensive point here. And I like it because they're able to just manage this choke point here between these double doors.
Let's just see though, with as much as we've been seeing with just the Zenyatta and as much as we've been seeing with just the Ana, I would really love to see how well this is. Lucio works with the tanks and just pushing up and keeping that kind of pressure.
And Hammer already getting there, looking for a charge reposition. Nice job, but there is the early pick. Voltage taking down 1, looking for the second. It will be the triple coming out of nowhere. Voltage demonstrating his Hanzo ability. Even though Mishra gets the pick, too much has already been taken. And you see Voltage now, it's 70% ult charge.
That headshot potential is massive, especially with the team trying to run double snipers in this 2-2-2 comp. It still works under some circumstances, but once that kind of pressure is immediately alleviated, you can't get those moments where you can do that, and that is where it's really showing hard.
And again, they trying to get back quickly. Voltage on the high ground, regrouping as they maneuver forward. But Mishra demonstrating a Hanzo play of his own. As you see, Clever now getting the dash reset onto that hit scan in the back. With Voltage having to drop down to the low ground, trying to do as much as possible. It will not be able to be executed as they just completely force them back. Komodo, with that early stagger that they had, the late pick onto Voltage gave them the opportunity, no longer having the pressure by both of those damage dealers to claim this first point.
That humongous pick, the ability to just be that kind of sniper and just take out those backline picks with no defensive shield stopping any form of shenanigans, especially with Mal getting that early sleep against him. He still decided to charge, and with Misha just coming up on the top right and just getting those backline picks, that helped Komodo just getting that frontline pick, and that is moving in their favor.
Dragon Strike now trying to sever the team, able to get one onto Eternal, forcing them back. Nano Boost now going to be probably a little overcommitted here on the front, seeing if they can get the Earth Shatter, managing to have it at least for this engage, forcing them back. And you're going to see Komodo play this safely. They have 6 minutes to claim this victory and claim this best of 5. And they're going to play this very strategically, regrouping.
I would definitely say with them having as many options as possible, they have 2 potential combos that they can use at their disposal, whether it is the Genji Blade Nano or just having the Mishra Eternal just grab Zarya grab Dragon. They have the potential to just get these clean team fights over and done with, and without the potential of them trying to get the trickle down effect. They can move everybody out, they can put as many people as they can, force that longer spawn timer, and get that essential ticks to win this final match.
And you see them now maneuvering to the right from the defensive position. The Earth Shatter going to be blocked. Not going to gain any value, unfortunately, but the Dragon Strike going to come through the wall. Nobody going to get picked as well out of these ultimates. Seeing if they can maneuver forward. Here comes the Dragon Blade with the Nano Boost in the back, trying to peek them off as it will now be the Transcendence grab going to be forced on the side of Smile. They want to secure this and hold back as they have the Infra now available for this next engage with Voltage using the Dragon Strike as well. And this choke point getting a follow-up sound barrier still in this side of Komodo, just continuing to press on this point. They want to claim the victory now and no later as the Wrecking Ball now comes out on the side of Smile. Using that trickle opportunity here since they have the respawn advantage. Komodo not yet committing out to the open as they still maintain this choke point. Clever with the melee in the back onto Maul on the Wrecking Ball. Still getting a lot of harass in the back. Graviton now pulling it together. Smile with the Eternal getting the double, continuing to follow up, but Voltage not yet gonna be out of it as they do get the turn. But back and forth, the double kill by the Lucio. Wrecking Ball by Maul along with the Widow now getting on the point to try and contest it as Mishra wants the kill. Not gonna get it. Clever getting returned as the pile drive comes in the back to try and isolate them away, but still having the Lucio harass on the point, and they need to finally get out of there. It will be the last few picks with Smile generating some ult charge as Komodo committed a lot to that.
They definitely saw those opportunities, but it was already too much loss at those given opportunities. With especially the Tracer and only the Lucio coming back, and with just having Niwu just was in the very back top right, where he was just getting those backline picks as the Widow. It was not in their favor to be using those kind of ultimates. It was definitely better to just regroup, wait until a better time, the Zenyatta Trance was down, and they were able to get a better team kill.
Early placement in the back by Clever, trying to harass onto it, but there's the pick. They can't afford this. They're too far forward now as the grab's gonna pull in one. Hammer gonna be absolutely obliterated on the front here with the Dragon Strike damage as it forces another retreat. And again, I like the backline aggression, but you're gonna see it now switch. Clever not wanting to play that Tracer. The flashbang is just so overpowering to them, even with the sleep dart potentially, that they can't risk it and have to switch back now.
Yes, it's that headshot potential to just immediately remove a single healthy target. Even if that healthy target's only at 150, you still have to be sure you're playing it conservatively. And with that heavy hitting stun that the McCree is playing so far back with the supports on, it's not a great time to be playing as a Tracer, especially in those given moments.
And now they're going to try this once again on the outer side, not choosing their reposition as Hammer leads the way, waiting for the shield opportunity to drop. They have the Earth Shatter as the Bionade does land again, forcing him low, does get the pick, Nano on the front, but the Sleep Dart onto the Earth Shatter, but it doesn't matter, the damage is still there as Mara is going to try and survive through a beautiful job with the Transcendence to keep it up. Sleep Dart going to come out as well as Voltage now switches onto the Mei. They've got one tick, the Doomfist now is here, Dragon Strike to come through, nobody's going to make it, and that's going to be Komodo claiming it 3-1 of this best of 5 on Temple of Anubis.
Very nice job coming out from Komodo. It was just showing that kind of ult management and that kind of ult coordination, especially in those tight moments and those windows, are essentially critical.
I can't believe the sleep dart. I know that they still got through it, but it's such great plays like that I love to see, where you as the Reinhardt feel absolutely defeated.
It's that mind games of the century. Absolutely critical to be always on top of what you can do. And those Ryan v Ryan matchups are always worse whenever you are not getting the upper hand in those moments.
And again, to both teams playing valiantly through this best of 5. Smile unfortunately coming up short. Komodo just managing their ults a little better, their positioning as a whole. The sleep darts, the supports, the tank line, everything from Smile still being played well, but just that slight one up here going in favor of Komodo in this Diamond League that we have. It's still been an amazing matchup to watch between the two of them.
All right, so since this is your first time, I'll be sure to get you up to speed for this. As part of O.C.C tradition, what we like to do as the game host, the analyst, and also above all else, just everyone that's on the stream team, we like to pick somebody called the player of the match, which is we pick somebody who has done an incredibly insane job over the past 4 games, or even 5 games in some situations, and you just tell us in a very short, detailed explanation on why that character did extremely well. So I'll start it off. I definitely have got to say the Sun tonight was doing an incredibly wonderful job. He was hitting those anti-nades, he was getting those critical moments, and above all else, he was making sure to save his nano for those combos that were essentially critical against these teams that did not have any kind of defensive ultimate to stop that kind of just heavy hitting raw damage, and it was insane just seeing it from the support perspective.
Now, I'll if anything, if it's possible, could I do one from each team? Is that viable to do?
You can. You can.
Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
you're more welcome to.
Okay, I want to see if I can bend the rules a little bit here, but I gotta say, at least for Komodo, Mishra, I have to say the positional awareness, the timing of entering and disengaging from the fight, and just overall ultimate usage and control with it was done very well. Like, I would have to say for Komodo, it's definitely Mishra for that usage on the Pharah, the Reaper, and even the Hanzo in some cases. But now on the other side with Smile, I have to say Voltage did an amazing job on the Zarya play. The fact that they were able to utilize their shield management so effectively to maintain that high energy through a majority of the fights when playing it was absolutely stellar. Like, I was really impressed by that, and that I think is one of the most difficult things coming out as a Zarya player. If you are able to manage those shields effectively, generating that type of energy and gaining that ult charge so quickly is hands down absolutely amazing.
You definitely did an incredible job, and that is awesome. I really appreciate for these player of the matches this tonight. How about we started? I was gonna say, Alex.
Before I go in with my player of the match, I'm gonna go in the chat real quick. We got House of Omi saying Bacon play of the match, splashiest of splashes, baconess of bacon. Of course.
Bringing on the bacon.
Oh, of course. We got Elfie saying always the Sun player of the match, but I also like Mishra and Eternal and Amara and Mal and I can't pick one. Yeah, I feel that. I feel that pain. As far as I go, I gotta say, my player of the match the whole time I was sure was gonna be Mishra because he's been popping off tonight. He's been doing amazing. However, that sleep dart on the last map on Anubis that
so good.
counter to the Shatter, I had to pick up my jaw off the floor. The Sun, you are my player of the match. That was amazing. That was nutty. Yep. You get it from me. that sleep alone just won me over. You don't even know.
And definitely with that, we'll be moving over to Peeps. What do you think your player of the match is this evening?
I am actually going to steal yours and say Sun too. I've been playing Anna for the past couple of weeks, and so was watching him. And yeah, those nades were definitely on point and crucial. So I'm going to steal yours and give it to the Sun as well.
Well, I mean, like I said, it's just you have your opinion. As long as you it up, you're good to go with that. And with that in mind, I know this is also your first time being here, and this is an incredibly awesome opportunity for you to come on, and especially just see just these kind of matches. Like, most of the time you always get to see quick play matches, but how did it feel tonight actually watching a Diamond coordinated scrim against two teams that have been playing for the past couple months with each other?
I mean, honestly, it's refreshing. It is, because again, there's so much, you know, unobserved talent through the Overwatch community. I mean, there's always, of course, the people you look to, like the high-tier players that are in the OWL League, brought on by major teams, traded back and forth for, you know, significant roles that they play. But, I mean, there still is just some great Overwatch gameplay to see at all levels. And yes, trust me, I've played many a quick play casting, and I'll be real, there are just many of face palms that you can probably see in my cam that I'm just like, this is happening right now. But with that being said, though, there are moments like these where people that are in Diamond, that are in Platinum, that are even in Silver in some matches, where it's like there's still some really great highlight plays, because we're all entitled to those moments. And when you see coordinated, structured gameplay that allows you to just see the thought process of their team, and it's really rewarding, and it's so nice to see those types of things coming into any matchup. And again, it's really good Overwatch. Like, you can always find highlights in anything that you play, and coming into this, that's what really honestly wanted me to be a part of this, because there's always just something new to watch and learn.
And I'll take it over here and just mention to anybody watching us for the first time, we're the O.C.C scrims. If you're interested in being a part of the scrims, being a part of the community, I would invite you to click the link below. We have the coach application and the player application. We're always looking for more people to join the community. We have an interesting giveaway happening very soon. Actually, a Funko Pop signed by Jay Jonak himself that we will be giving away. A custom New York Excelsior Funko Pop, actually. We will be giving away in the Discord very soon. Make sure you fill the player application below. Tell, as Lautrax would say, tell your mom, tell your dad, tell your aunt, tell your uncle, tell your grandma. We want to have more people join us. We have so much fun doing this. And yeah, Rich is going to be going live on his Twitch as well, I believe, after the stream. So make sure you go check him out, twitch.tv/RichRadLive. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, Rich. It was such a pleasure to listen to you.
No, truly, the pleasure was all mine. And again, it's just the great opportunity, because again, I myself, you know, started out casting, you know, communities that are continuing to grow their community base, continuing to grow people who love Overwatch, and there is still a place for this. Like, it doesn't have to be like the highest of the high to find great value in a community. And it's like I said, it's an amazing opportunity to be a part of it, and it was a privilege to join all of you today, and on all parts, production, camera, video, co-caster, everything. It's just a great experience. So don't ever think that it goes unnoticed, because it's super awesome what you guys continue to do in your growth.
Well, thank you so much. And on this note, I think we have reached the end of the evening. So make sure to join us on Wednesday for a Silver Division, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, and we will see you guys on Wednesday.
Have a good night, everybody.